I was the one who ironed the tablecloths, strung up the fairy lights, and filled every vase with fresh hibiscus flowers, in my own house. But when I tried to walk in that night, my best friend Leah blocked the door, smiling as if I were the uninvited stranger. I stood outside, hearing the laughter I helped create. I thought that was the worst pain she could give me, but the next phone call proved me wrong. Chemo and Leah had been best friends for as long as they could remember. They played on the same beaches as children, shared meals at each other's houses, and told each other every secret. When one cried, the other was there with a shoulder. People in their small coastal town even joked that they were like sisters born from different mothers. They both dreamed about the future, weddings, big parties, and a life where they would always stand beside each other. One sunny afternoon, Leah came running to Chemo's house, her eyes sparkling. She was engaged. Chemo was so happy for her that she didn't think twice before offering her family's home for the engagement party. It was the perfect place, a big, open house with a wide patio and a view of the endless sea. The sound of the waves would make the celebration magical. Chemo felt proud to share it, believing this was what friends were for. She imagined herself standing next to Leah that day, helping her greet the guests, making speeches about their friendship, and watching her walk into this new chapter of her life. Chemo thought Leah would always remember this gesture as a sign of love and loyalty. But as the days went by, something began to feel strange. Leah's excitement seemed less about sharing the moment with her friend and more about taking over. She started making decisions as if the house were hers, giving instructions instead of suggestions. Still, Chemo brushed it off. She told herself that weddings were stressful and that true friends understood each other without needing to explain. What Chemo didn't know was that her kindness was slowly turning into a trap, and that the same home she opened in friendship would become the very place where her heart would be broken. Chemo wanted everything to be perfect for Leah's big day. She woke up early every morning to work on the preparations. She cut colorful paper to make decorations by hand, shaped flowers into neat arrangements, and even repainted the patio so it would look fresh and new for the guests. She spent her own savings to hire the best local chef she knew, someone who could cook food everyone would remember. Every corner of the house began to shine, and Chemo felt proud that she was doing all of this for her best friend. But as the days went on, Leah started speaking differently. She no longer asked for help, she gave orders. "Make sure the chairs are set the way I like," she said without even looking at Chemo. "The lights should be brighter, move those flowers, no, not there." Her words felt sharp, and her tone made Chemo feel like a worker in her own home. There was no thank you, no smile, no sign that Leah noticed how much time and money Chemo was spending. Chemo tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just the stress of planning a big event. But each day, the house felt less like hers. Leah was inviting her own people in, walking through the rooms as if she owned them, making choices without asking. Chemo found herself standing quietly in the background while Leah took center stage, as if the house and all the work in it had always belonged to her. By the time the party was only days away, Chemo realized something had changed. This wasn't about celebrating together anymore, it had become Leah's show, and Chemo was just there to make it happen. The home she had opened in friendship was no longer hers. It had become Leah's stage. Chemo had been excited all week, imagining herself wearing her favorite glittering gown, helping Leah greet guests, and being part of every special moment. She had pictured herself standing in the living room, surrounded by friends and family, feeling proud of the house she had worked so hard to prepare. Every detail, from the freshly polished floors to the neatly arranged flowers, had been done with love and care, and she thought tonight would be the night she and Leah would shine together. Then, just a few hours before the party, her phone buzzed. She picked it up with a smile, expecting a last-minute reminder or a thank you message. Instead, the screen showed Leah's text, "I think it's better if you don't come tonight, it's more intimate that way." Chemo froze. She read the words over and over, her heart pounding. It felt like someone had hit her across the face. After all the work, after all the time, after all the money she had spent, she was being told she wasn't wanted. She wasn't just being left out, she was being erased from the very celebration she had created. Chemo walked slowly to her bedroom mirror, staring at the gown she had chosen, the one she had imagined wearing with pride. Her hands shook as she touched the fabric, realizing that she would never step into her home that night as a friend, she would only be a stranger outside the door. The house felt colder, emptier, even though just hours ago it had been filled with her laughter and effort. When the first guests began to arrive, Chemo didn't run or knock or demand to be let in. She stayed by the garden fence, hidden behind the tall hedges, and watched. Her eyes followed Leah as she entered, twirling under the lights Chemo had hung, laughing with excitement, wearing the necklace Chemo had given her. The music poured through the open windows, mingling with the chatter and clinking glasses. Every sound, every cheer, felt like a sharp reminder that this was no longer Chemo's night, no longer her house, no longer her friend. Chemo's heart ached as she saw people she knew, neighbors, old friends, colleagues, stepping inside and never noticing the absence of the homeowner. No one asked where Chemo was, no one wondered why she wasn't there. It was as if she had vanished, and the home she had loved and prepared for was now a stage for someone else. That night, standing behind the garden fence, Chemo felt invisible and humiliated, yet a quiet fire grew inside her. She didn't storm the party or yell. She didn't make a scene. She simply watched. She let Leah celebrate, let the music play, let the laughter echo. Chemo realized that sometimes, being erased doesn't mean you're weak, it means you are patient, and that the truth often has its own way of coming out. Chemo stayed hidden behind the tall hedge near the garden, her body pressed against the wall, watching everything unfold from a distance. The fairy lights she had carefully strung glowed softly, casting warm colors across the patio, and there was Leah, spinning and laughing as if she owned every moment. Around her, guests clinked glasses, danced, and took photos, their smiles wide, their energy full of excitement. Chemo's chest tightened as she recognized the necklace Leah wore, the same one Chemo had given her years ago, a gift meant to show love and friendship. Now it felt like a symbol of betrayal, worn proudly while she, the friend who had given it, was locked out. No one asked where Chemo was. No one looked for the homeowner who had worked tirelessly for this day. Everyone seemed to accept that Leah was the star of the house, the one in charge, and that Chemo had simply disappeared. It stung in a way words could not describe. The ache was deep, but Chemo forced herself to stay calm. She didn't storm in, she didn't shout, she didn't throw a tantrum. She remained quiet, like a shadow, watching the life she had built for her friend being celebrated by everyone except her. As she observed, Chemo began to notice things she hadn't seen before. The way some guests whispered to each other when they thought no one was looking. The way Leah laughed a little too loudly, her eyes flicking toward her fiancé as if she was hiding something. The more she listened, the more she realized that this party, which had seemed like pure joy, was also full of cracks. Every smile, every toast, every cheerful hug had a subtle tension underneath. Chemo's heart hurt, but she felt a strange sense of clarity. From the shadows, she could see the truth in moments that no one else noticed. She saw the small lies tucked into conversations, the little pauses that gave away secrets. Being out of the spotlight gave her a perspective she wouldn't have had if she had been inside, smiling politely, pretending everything was normal. Now, she could really hear and see. Standing there silently, Chemo made a quiet decision. She wouldn't allow anger to make her reckless. She wouldn't let Leah see her cry or feel guilty. She would simply watch and wait. The night was full of laughter, dancing, and clinking glasses, but Chemo had become something else, a silent witness. And sometimes, being a silent witness was more powerful than any argument, more powerful than yelling, because the truth had a way of showing itself without anyone needing to force it. That night, while everyone inside celebrated, Chemo learned a lesson she would never forget. Sometimes, standing back and watching quietly is the strongest thing you can do, especially when betrayal wears a mask of joy. Chemo pressed herself closer to the side gate, trying not to breathe too loudly. The cool evening air brushed against her face, but she hardly noticed it. Her eyes were fixed on Leah, who was standing near the patio, talking to Nero with a laugh that sounded bright but carried something sharp underneath. Chemo didn't want to hear their conversation, but the words floated through the air as clear as a bell. "She's too clingy," Leah said, her tone light, like she was joking. "I didn't want her here stealing attention. This is my night, not hers." Chemo froze, the words slamming into her chest like a fist. She had expected the uninvited to hurt, but this was worse. It wasn't about keeping the party intimate or wanting a small gathering. It wasn't about nerves or excitement. Leah didn't just not want her there, she wanted Chemo erased from the night entirely, as if all the time, effort, and love Chemo had poured into the house and the party had never existed. Her friend had turned her kindness into something disposable. Chemo's fingers gripped the metal of the gate, knuckles white. Her heart ached, but somewhere in that pain, anger flickered quietly. She had never imagined that someone she trusted so deeply could speak about her this way, right in the space she had prepared for joy. Every decoration, every light, every flower arrangement Chemo had worked on suddenly felt stolen. Leah was using her own house and all of Chemo's effort as a stage to show herself off, while treating Chemo like a stranger who didn't belong. Even as the laughter continued and the music floated from the house, Chemo stayed still, silent. She didn't yell, she didn't run in to confront them, because she realized something important in that moment. Letting Leah's words sink in without reacting gave Chemo power. From this hidden spot, she could see clearly who her real friend was and who had only been pretending. The party went on inside, full of lights, dancing, and cheers, but outside, Chemo's mind was alive with understanding. She realized that some people don't just hurt you by leaving you out, they try to erase you completely. They laugh while doing it, hoping you won't notice, hoping you'll feel small. But Chemo noticed. She heard every word, every laugh, every sneer. And while Leah thought she was winning by hiding the truth, Chemo knew that she was quietly gathering the knowledge that would change everything. That night, standing behind the side gate, Chemo felt a shift inside her. The hurt was sharp, but so was the clarity. Leah had shown her true colors, and Chemo understood that her silence, her presence as the unseen witness, was more powerful than any fight. She didn't need to shout or confront yet. Sometimes, the truth whispered in the wind is enough to start a storm. The next afternoon, Chemo was still feeling the sting from the night before, replaying every laugh, every word, every look from the party. She hadn't slept well and spent the morning wandering around the house, touching the decorations she had set up, feeling the emptiness where joy should have been. Her phone rang suddenly, and when she saw the number, her stomach tightened. It was Nero's cousin. Chemo. I think you should know, Leah isn't who she says she is. Nero found something last night. His voice was low, urgent, almost like he was afraid someone might overhear. Chemo froze, gripping the edge of the table. Her heart started to race. She had been hurt, embarrassed, and erased from the party, but now there was a possibility that the truth she hadn't yet seen could turn everything upside down. She listened carefully as the cousin explained what had happened. During the party, Nero had stepped away to take an urgent phone call. Chemo's mind raced, imagining the moment he had spoken quietly, away from everyone else, discovering something he had no idea existed. The cousin's words were slow, deliberate, and full of weight. He found messages, Chemo. Proof that Leah has been hiding things she promised never existed. Loans, secret meetings, a past she didn't tell him about. He doesn't know what to do yet, but it's serious. Chemo's pulse quickened even more. The anger and sadness from being uninvited seemed to melt into a new fire, a mix of shock, disbelief, and anticipation. Everything she had felt the night before, standing outside her own house, suddenly seemed small compared to what was coming. The betrayal was bigger than she thought, and now it was no longer just about her being excluded. The truth, raw and undeniable, was about to surface in front of everyone. The cousin told her that. Nero hadn't shared it with Leah yet, but he wanted Chemo to know because he trusted her judgment and knew she had been hurt the most. Chemo felt a rush of emotions, vindication, fear, and a strange calm. She realized that the patience she had shown by standing in the shadows, quietly watching, was about to pay off. Leah's carefully built image, the one she had paraded in the house Chemo had prepared, could crumble in an instant. After the call ended, Chemo sat in silence, staring out at the sea beyond her patio. The waves rolled gently, but inside her, everything was moving fast. She knew that the engagement, the party, and Leah's false smile could all be undone by what Nero had learned. And she also knew that this time, she wouldn't just be a silent witness. This time, the truth was about to speak for itself, and she would finally see justice unfold without lifting a finger. By the next morning, the calm of the coastal town was shattered. Nero had confronted Leah in private, and what he discovered was worse than anyone could have imagined. She had been secretly meeting with an ex, meeting him behind Nero's back while pretending to plan a future together. That alone was enough to break trust, but there was more. Leah had been using Nero's name to take out loans from people in town, borrowing money she had no intention of repaying. The man who had seemed so perfect, so in love, was now left in shock, realizing everything he believed was a lie. News travels fast in a small town, and it spread like wildfire. By sunrise, half the guests from the engagement party had heard the story directly or through whispers from Nero's family. The other half were piecing together fragments, noticing little things they had ignored the night before, the quick glances Leah had exchanged with unknown men, the nervous way she answered calls in private, the small lies that had slipped out. People who had applauded her the evening before were now whispering behind her back, their smiles gone, replaced with doubt and judgment. Leah woke up that morning believing she had pulled off the perfect celebration, the party that would show everyone how glamorous and loved she was. Instead, she found herself the subject of gossip before the sun had even fully risen. Her carefully built image, the one she had polished for months, the one she had used to erase chemo from her own party, began to crumble with every passing hour. Friends who had been eager to praise her were now hesitant, unsure whether to trust her. Even family members who had stood by her side the night before now asked questions, the excitement of celebration replaced with unease. Chemo, meanwhile, watched quietly from a distance, her anger and hurt now tempered by a sense of vindication. The betrayal had been sharp, but the truth was sharper. The house she had poured so much love into, the decorations she had hung, the food she had arranged, none of that mattered now to the people inside. Leah's stage, once so bright and confident, was empty of the trust and admiration she thought she owned. By mid-morning, the town buzzed with whispers. Guests who had laughed under chemo's fairy lights were now questioning everything they had seen. Leah's lies, which she had hoped would remain hidden, were now exposed in plain sight. The engagement, the party, the celebration, all of it was crumbling like sand slipping through fingers. And while Leah panicked, chemo felt a quiet sense of relief. She had been erased, humiliated, and betrayed, but now, justice was unfolding on its own. The fairy tale Leah had tried to live was breaking apart, and chemo, the silent witness, could finally breathe knowing the truth was out. The knock on chemo's door was frantic, sharp, and full of desperation. When she looked through the peephole, she saw Leah, the same friend who had blocked her from entering her own house the night before, now standing soaked in worry and tears, her hands pounding against the wood. Her makeup was smudged, and her usual confident smile had vanished. Chemo's heart didn't race with anger this time, it was steady, calm, and clear. She had waited for this moment, knowing it would come. Leah's voice shook as she called out, begging, "Chemo, please. I have nowhere else to go. I didn't mean for things to happen like this. Let me in, please." Her words were frantic, full of fear, full of regret, but chemo didn't step aside. She opened the door just enough to see Leah's face clearly, her eyes wide, searching for mercy, searching for the friend she had betrayed. Chemo looked at her quietly, letting the silence stretch, giving Leah the weight of the night, the party, and all the lies she had told. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but firm. "Last night you didn't need me, Leah," she said slowly, letting each word land. "Tonight, I don't need you." Leah's tears fell harder, her hands clutching at the doorframe as if holding on to some hope that chemo would still forgive her, that their friendship could return to how it was. But chemo's gaze never wavered. She wasn't angry in a way that made her lash out, she was calm, measured, and in control. She had learned the hard way that some people only reveal themselves when they are about to lose everything, and Leah had shown her true colors. The air between them was heavy, full of all the words left unsaid, all the laughter that had turned into betrayal, and all the pain that had been hidden behind polite smiles at the party. Leah's pleas grew louder, more desperate, but chemo stayed rooted, her presence steady like a stone. She didn't need to explain herself. She didn't need to beg for recognition. The truth was already clear, and Leah could feel it in every silent moment. After a long pause, Leah finally lowered her hands, sobbing quietly, realizing that the friend she had tried to erase was not going to step aside for her mistakes. Chemo closed the door slowly, leaving Leah standing outside, the realization hitting her harder than any words could. The house, the friendship, and the trust had been hers all along, and now Leah would have to face the consequences of her own choices. Chemo turned back inside, the night light of her patio casting a gentle glow, and felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in days. For the first time, she knew that she didn't need anyone to validate her worth. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons, and Leah had done that perfectly. And tonight, Chemo didn't need her. Minutes after Chemo closed the door on Leah, she heard the sound of footsteps approaching from the driveway. Nero appeared, his face serious but calm. In his hand, he held the necklace Leah had worn to the engagement party, the one Chemo had once gifted her. He walked straight up to Chemo, and without saying a word, handed it to her. The gesture was quiet but heavy with meaning, a simple acknowledgement of the truth that had finally come out. Chemo took the necklace in her hands, feeling the weight of the betrayal, the vindication, and the calm satisfaction that comes from knowing the truth is finally seen. Behind her, Leah's voice cracked as she tried to call out, to explain, to beg for forgiveness. But no one listened. The friends and neighbors who had gathered to celebrate the engagement had already heard the rumors, and the whispers of last night's revelations had spread through the town like wildfire. Her words fell on deaf ears. No one was eager to comfort her now, no one rushed to defend her. The house she had tried to claim as hers, decorated with Chemo's love and effort, belonged firmly back to the person who had built it with honesty and care. Leah stood there for a moment, realizing that everything she had thought she owned, respect, admiration, the house, her carefully crafted image, was gone. The pride she had flaunted, the smile she had forced, and the laughter she had stolen were replaced with quiet pity and mistrust from everyone around her. Slowly, she turned and walked away, her steps heavy, her head low. The town that had once celebrated her now watched her leave with eyes that no longer held admiration but judgment. Chemo remained on the patio, holding the necklace close. She didn't feel triumph or joy in a loud way, only a deep, quiet peace. The air smelled of the sea, calm and refreshing, and for the first time in days, she felt like she could breathe freely. She had been hurt, betrayed, and erased, but the truth had a way of rising, and it had done so without her needing to act aggressively. Nero stayed a few steps behind, watching Chemo carefully. His eyes met hers, and in that silent look, Chemo felt a recognition of everything, the betrayal she endured, the strength she showed, and the calm dignity with which she handled it all. No words were needed between them, the necklace, the silence, and the glance said everything that needed to be said. As Leah disappeared down the street, Chemo finally felt the weight lift from her chest. The house, the friendship, and her pride were restored. The final scene wasn't dramatic or loud. It was simple, quiet, and clear. Truth had returned to its rightful place, and the one who had betrayed could only walk away, leaving behind the consequences of her own choices. That night, Chemo settled into her chair on the patio, the soft glow of the fairy lights she had hung casting a warm circle around her. The house was quiet now, the music and laughter of the party long gone, but the lights still twinkled, reflecting off the sea beyond. She looked at the decorations, the flowers, the tables she had spent days preparing, and for the first time, she felt them truly belonged to her again. Every detail she had poured love into was hers, untouched by betrayal, untouched by someone who tried to erase her. She thought back to the party, to Leah blocking her from her own home, to the whispers she overheard, and to the heartbreak of being left out. The pain had been sharp, and the anger had burned, but now it seemed small in comparison to the calm she felt sitting here. She realized that some betrayals are not meant to be fought in the moment. Some are meant to be watched, quietly, as the truth unfolds on its own. Leah had tried to steal her joy, her home, and her friendship, but in the end, the truth had a way of rising without force, and Chemo had witnessed it all. The realization settled deep inside her. The best revenge is not chaos, not shouting, not getting even. The best revenge is peace, a peace so steady, so unshakable, that no one can take it away. Leah had left, the town had seen the truth, and Chemo had everything she needed. The friendship that was broken, the trust that was betrayed, and the pride that was challenged had all been restored within herself. She didn't need anyone else to acknowledge it. She didn't need applause or recognition. The lights, the calm, and the knowledge of what had happened were enough. Chemo let her eyes wander over the patio, over the garden, over the small details she had worked on with love. She smiled quietly to herself, feeling the tension of the past days slip from her shoulders. For so long, she had carried disappointment and anger, but now it felt light, almost freeing. The house was hers, the night was hers, and she finally understood that when someone tries to erase you, the strongest response is to let them act while you simply hold your ground and wait for truth to reveal itself. As the waves whispered in the distance and the lights flickered gently above, Chemo felt whole again. The lesson etched itself clearly in her mind, just as the lights etched the patio in gold. Some betrayals are not for fighting, some pains are not for revenge, and the most powerful victory is the calm, unshakable peace they can never take from you. And tonight, under her lights, Chemo finally had it.